Yes. Okay.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of PMBOK 8th Inside series. I'm Shanila, and I'm delighted to have you with us today. This series is about taking the principles and ideas introduced in PMBOK 8 and moving beyond theory into the realities of how we lead projects, build teams, and create values. Today, we are focusing on a principle that I believe is particularly relevant to the way project leadership is evolving, building an empowered culture. And I'm pleased to have with us Atikur Rahman, our guest in this series, who adds his valuable experience in each and every episode. Welcome. It's wonderful to have you with us, Atik, again.
Thank you, Chanela. I mean, it's wonderful to be with you on this topic. Thank you.
All right. So, with this, I think we're going to begin with our very first question, definitely connecting and relevant to our today's topic. When you hear the word empowered culture, what does that mean to you personally, Atik?
Empowerment, empowerment is transferring your authority to others for me. Very simple, in simple word. Um, Delegation and empowerment are different things, and we will discuss this thing. But when we say empowerment is transferring your decision making authority uh, to others, which is very difficult, which is the most difficult task when you are, I mean, when you give your controls to others. So empowered culture is one where people at every level have the authority, confidence, and information uh, they need to make decisions within the area of responsibility without escalating, without asking uh, the chain of command or someone above them. So, and for me, it's the environment where the employees feel safe, because this is the essence of empowered culture, that whatever I will do, I'm safe and I will not be asked for taking decisions. Because in empowered culture, we do things collaboratively with consensus. We involve others. So we own the decisions, means the teams owns the decisions. So this is what the empowered culture for me is. Uh, I mean, if I would say that uh, this culture is, again, I mean, we repeatedly discuss this thing. It's a
Hmm.
mind shift. It requires a complete different state of mind.
Hmm.
Um, it's a behavior, people behavior, and it's and how they make decisions, not just by using the templates or these things. I mean, it's a human engine behind adopting this culture. And it brings speed and sense of ownership in the overall project environment. So, I mean, it's a jargon, you can call it, or whatever it is, that in the current situation, in the current scenarios, you cannot wait for the project manager or responsible to for every issue. You need to, I mean, you need to empower your teams so they can take on a day-to-day decisions. So this is what, for me, empowerment is, and building an empowered culture um, seems easy, especially in our part of the world. where we like to control others. We love controlling others. We don't like to
Hmm.
delegate. We don't like to um, others to flourish or so. I mean, we have doubts on others.
Hmm.
So this is the essence of empowerment. Yes.
I agree because I think that distinction is very important because empowerment is a word we hear everywhere today. Organizations talk about empowering their people, empowering teams, giving people autonomy, but what does that really mean in practice? Because PMBOK Guided explicitly introduces build an empowered culture as a principle, right? So, Atik, what do you think? PMI has chosen to highlight building an empowered culture as an important principle.
Ah, PMI. PMI, actually, they have shifted from process to performance for me. And when we do the lean, this whole from process to performance, I think they realize that if you stick with the process, it becomes so bureaucratic, right? In the process, you need structured authorities, authorizations, you need chain of command, and all these things that we define. But if you are behind the performance, you need liberty. You need to liberalize the overall environment. That's what I feel. Uh, Team members making a call on a vendor issue, for example, uh, or a scope trade-off is needed, or a technical approach somewhere. So how to communicate it? Um, is it the situation that where we have for even these small petty issues, we need to call the PM for to resolve these issues? Uh, so what was happening? There were a lot of constraints in performing jobs. So this empowerment brings or remove those constraints. That's what I feel. So it gives you decide instead of dictating the path. You let your team to decide instead of dictating for everything. So the project manager create an empowerment or environment, I would say, where people feel confident making decisions. What is needed? They set clear boundaries, uh, especially when it comes to the empowered project practices. Uh, you cannot leave it open. This is very important. Even when you are setting up the empowered culture, it is not like this that you give the whole liberty without boundaries, without defining some what you call framework. So what is needed is that the project manager or the management needs to set certain boundaries. Okay. Uh, your team should know what decisions are there to make and what needs escalation. So you define the escalation points for your team. This is what is needed, and this is what the eighth edition is asking for. And this is the key element when you are assessing the questions in PMP exam. You need to understand this that these are the parameters which we need to focus on. Second is uh, you need to share the context generously, not just instructions. Means because people cannot take decisions without understanding why. The context they need to understand. It's not just instruction I give you. to perform some job, but I need to give you the context, the overall environment, how the environment is. Then what we have is respond to mistakes with curiosity, not blaming. Uh, Again, in even if you remember in our previous discussions, when we were talking about the stewardship, we were talking about the values. So we talk about getting rid of the blame culture. When you are when you are a leader, you need to take things on you instead of blaming others. So the same thing is here. The if there is some bad outcomes of certain decisions, uh, try to resolve them. Try to instead of blaming and pointing fingers on others. So this is what need to be done. Uh, so these are the few things that I feel that the PMI brought to this PMBOK 8th edition. That that how they can, when you're creating the empowerment culture, how to encourage the environment, the behaviors. They are very much focused on the
Hmm.
human behaviors. They are asking what, very simple thing. If when we say the behaviors
Hmm.
is that asking, what do you think we should do? Okay, for example, you and me are working on a project, and I'm in a situation where I have to decide something. So instead of giving my opinion, if I ask you what shall we do, what should be the line of action, so the whole environment get changed. You feel that your words, your experience, meaning is meaningful for the project. So the decision that we are going to take would be meaningful. So before giving your own opinion, uh, you need to ask them publicly backing your team members' decision, even if something have done wrong. You need to back them. You need to provide them the feeling that yes, you are there behind every decision they are taking. Outward credit, very important. That giving outward credit and taking blame inward. Uh, And the last and the most important thing I feel is the transparency uh, about the constraints and risks.
Hmm.
Need to be very transparent. Uh, so these are few things that are needed, and that was, I think, the PMI have done a great. I mean, change, I would say, or adopting the empowered behavior. Because in the past, we were only talking about empowered teams in the adaptive environment, especially in the agile environment. But now PMI is asking not only agile, but all project environments. Try to give empowerment. But yes, very important, you need to set the boundaries. Your people must be very clear about what decisions they are going to take. Escalation points must be defined. This is what is needed. Yes.
I think I completely agree on that because, in my opinion, there is a primary. It is might be a primarily a response to the complexity of today's projects, the speed decisions are making or they need to be made, the way the workforces are changing, or the combination of all these. So I think an empowered culture, you can say, might be the response to it on a need of the time as well. And here is something, I think is often misunderstood. Many project managers believe that they are empowering their teams and simply because they delegate tasks. So let's make this distinction clear. If I give someone a task and tell them exactly how, when, and where to do it, is that empowerment? Or does empowerment require something more?
Delegation, as I told you a while ago, that it's just simple assigning the task.
Hmm.
Empowerment is transferring the decision-making authority.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
both are, same, but it is not same. Delegating, yes, in management, we teach delegating work on to others. Yes, empowering is a what you call a step ahead of it, a next step, next level. You can delegate to task and still micromanage every step. This is what happens. Empower means that person owns the outcome, and everything is based on his judgment call. Delegation distributes workload. Empowerment distribute trust. So here, when we say empowerment is
Hmm.
trust. However, delegation is just distributing the workload to others. So the trust, which is very difficult, believe me, it is very difficult because the leadership, the management is having a fear. They think that they are more knowledgeable, they know everything, they know the context, so the others will make mistakes. They have a fear of losing control.
Hmm.
They And one very important thing, we like to blame others for our mistakes as well. So, how will I blame others? So many things that
Hmm.
happens.
I think I really
Um,
like the distinction because delegation can still, leave the decision making authority with the manager, whereas empowerment changes the relationship between the leader and the team actually. So I think
Very
you have
true.
mentioned, so there I can say it seems to as the same side of the coin, but they are actually two different sides of the coin. So
Absolutely.
but I think that's a very, I think clearly you have defined that. Satik, let's move from the concept to reality because as the saying goes, what gets said in the organization and what actually happens in the organization can be two very different things. No, so the brief for today's conversations ask us to explore what true empowerment, actually looks like. Because many organizations say we empower our employees, but what does genuine empowerment actually look like when you are working on a real project? So, what would you see or hear in a truly empowered project teams?
Okay. Now I would put in. Split this answer into two
Okay.
different or three what you call
Hmm.
major points. One is the challenges
Hmm.
and common mistakes that we do when we build the empowered culture. Very important thing. First,
Hmm.
that the management who is willing to build up empowered culture, they have to be, they have to decide and they have to believe that others can do the good job as well. I believe this. And we can create the culture where I mean uh, where we can let others to perform using their experience, so that we have to get rid of fear. The leadership needs to get rid of fear and they must start trusting others. Second important, what level of empowerment is needed, this is what the management needs to decide. Empowerment is good, and that's what I believe, but you need to set up certain boundaries for the empowerment. And here the role of the management is needed. As I mentioned earlier, that when you are setting up the empowered culture or you are empowering your team, you need to set what you call certain boundaries. and define the escalation points. So this is very important thing that you need to set this escalation point, and you need to give the context and giving letting know your team that what decisions they can take, what are their boundaries and what are the escalation points. Uh, and and very important thing is the balancing and the between governance and accountability. Governance, very important. You need to set the guardrails instead of scripts. This is something we need to understand this. Uh, I mean, I'm saying that I can give authority to my purchasing manager or purchasing team for certain amount of purchasing that you can purchase up to, let's say, 1 million. You can spend and you can take decision up to 1 million. Uh, and instead of telling them for every purchase, you need to ask permission. You need to come back to me for final decision. So I need to just openly, and you have to trust. You need to have a transparency. High autonomy doesn't become invisible. Something you are giving autonomy, but you must have a proper transparency. So this is very important. Then I think these are the few points that the challenges that we face. Now, the second part of my answer would be for the project managers, how to set up the culture. Because which there's certain steps need to be taken, like start small. Hand over one class of decision completely and hold the line on not overriding it. I would say, so need to take small steps when you're introducing this culture. And instead, whole you empowered the whole organization and let them do whatever they want to do. No, it's not. Make expectations and constraints explicit upfront. You need to set up this, what you expect and what are the constraints there. You need to debrief the decisions, not just outcomes, so that people build judgment, not just a confidence or something. And very important thing, being a management or being a project manager or leadership, you need to celebrate the good decisions. It gives them the confidence. Your team would feel confident. So this is what is I feel that brings a proper empowered culture in your organization. The leadership habit should be developing other leaders. So when you develop, we need to have active listening before advising, asking questions instead of giving answers, tolerating some inefficiencies. Very, very important. You need a big heart. When you empower them, you will come across with the wrong decisions. You will come across with the decisions which you might not admire, and you think that it's wrong. But you need to have a big heart. You must have a capacity to tolerate the inefficiencies of your team. Being comfortable not being the smartest person in every decision. This is something what is needed. Um, now, what was your actual question? I have forgotten. I've given the two parts.
I think you
Uh,
responded to the question pretty well because I was asking about the behaviors and I think you talked about it. So I think we are good on that part. Might be I would add one more thing and then put up, is this in front of you that, that could might be help us in getting this out. So we definitely talked about the behavior and you have talked about the challenges, right? So that's actually pretty much good. So, I would just enhance into it. So might be you will, explain us or you will be able to maybe define it pretty well for us. So, one of the biggest challenge I see in the is that people may technically have authority to make decisions, but they're still afraid to make them. And you talked about it, right, already. That what happens that they think, what if I make the wrong decision? What if my manager disagrees? What if I am blamed? And you said that, they start small, right? So that, that would actually going to help us. So I think that is actually the very important thing, the psychological safety, which we have already spoken actually, that,
mhm.
in the team, that, if I'm going to make the wrong decision, all right, but, there is going to be a learning. I would know in the one way that what should I don't do, right, in the future. So again, but this requires a confidence, a trust, and a psychological safety in the team. In that way, you can, make them empowered. Otherwise, till then, the psychological safety is not going to be there in the team. We will never be able to, I think, create the empowered culture. So I
Very
think,
true.
yeah, that's actually pretty well made and being defined by you. So I think let's make this especially useful for the people watching us who are preparing for the PMP exam, as well as the project managers who are already working in the profession. This conversation already briefly specifically focuses on practical steps, leadership habits, and the connections with the agile and the hybrid ways of working. So, if I am a project manager watching this conversation and I want to start building a more empowered team tomorrow, what one thing I should stop doing?
Uh, what one thing I should
I
stop
should
doing?
stop doing.
Uh, Let me think of. Being a project manager, what shall I do?
If I
Or
want to
what
create an
shall...
empowered culture in my team from tomorrow, let me make it easy for you. What one thing
No,
I
I
should start
understand.
doing and what one thing I should stop doing?
Okay, now the thing is from I mean, especially you give the context of PMP
Hmm.
uh, and and how the PMI would assess the
Hmm.
aspirants. This is a very important thing. And what shall be done and what shall not be done, being
Hmm.
in when you are in an empowered team. So it's shifting the core testing mindset from traditional command and control management to servant leadership.
Hmm.
Very important thing. It's a complete shift from command and control to a servant leadership and agile self-organization. You
Hmm.
know, this is a complete shift. So, uh, first thing that is very important for the management, for the project manager, shift in leadership mindset. They must act as a servant leader. Uh, Secondly, autonomy. Empowered culture trusts the team to estimate work and make technical choices. Um, this is very important. You need to give them autonomy. Uh, the impact of empowerment on, I would say, the people domain.
Hmm.
We when we look at the answers or the context or the situations that we deal in the PMP, the impact on the people domain would be first thing is collaboration.
Hmm.
Whenever you come across with a question or case or scenario, uh, the people domain on the team or in the exam must be heavily focus on psychologically safe work environment, psychologically safe work environment, which is the most important element here in the people domain. And trust.
Hmm.
How much the trust is there in the environment, in the scenario that is given to you. You need to look into it. Second important thing is conflict resolution. Instead of making decisions for the team, an empowered approach would be facilitate team led solutions and encouraging open communication. So the conflict resolution is important. And third important thing is in the people domain specifically, removing impediments. So
Hmm.
exam scenarios often test how fast you clear the obstacles. So the
Hmm.
autonomous team can deliver value. So these are the three major elements from the people domains perspective. When you are in giving the answers or selecting the right choice, you need to consider the collaboration, conflict resolution, and improvement impediments. This is what the empowered culture requires. Uh, Avoid a few things when you are giving answers. First is avoid direct control. If option says tell the team what to do, it is usually wrong. So avoid direct controls. In the question, if the situation is direct instruction is asked or what to do, then the answer would be usually wrong. Empower first. And when we say empower first, choose options where the project manager coaches, listens, delegate authority to capable team members. So empower first. This is the important aspect. And support self-organization. These are the areas look for choices that let the team organize their own work,
Hmm.
um, schedules, processes. So these are the areas that need to be focused when you are an empowered team culture. You are looking at the scenarios given in the exam. So let me repeat. Uh, Avoid direct control. This is very important.
Hmm.
Empower first and support self-organization. This is very important. Uh, it's a bit tricky, but this is what we need to look into, especially when we are giving the exam, PMP
Absolutely.
exam. Yes.
Great. So, okay, so we are now going to finish again with our legacy little rapid fire. So, I'm going to give
Hmm.
you a few statements and questions. Don't overthink them. Just give me the first thought that comes to your mind. So, are
Okay.
you ready?
I'm ready. I'm
Okay.
using my
So,
brain right now.
one, okay. Good one. All right. So, one word that defines an empowered culture.
One word.
Yeah.
Mhm. How can I define the
Just
whole
give me a
empowered
one
culture
line,
in one
okay?
word? I
Give me
know,
an instant one
let me
line
think.
comes to your mind.
Trust. Trust.
Okay, makes sense. So
Very
one leadership,
important.
very important. I agree. Without it, nothing can survive in the team.
Yes.
So one leadership habit every project manager should develop.
Uh, Asking others before you tell something to them.
Okay. Trust
Very
or
important.
control. Okay, sorry. You were finishing.
No, the thing is, this the habit that needs to be, you need to ask your people, you need to ask your
Hmm.
team before you instruct or tell them to do something. This is very
although we are
important.
in a rapid fire, but I completely agree because sometimes, we heard that, no, I trust my team, they will going to blindly follow my decision. But sometimes it's important to ask them also, do they agree?
Yes.
They want to work in such dimensions or not? I completely agree on that. So the next one, trust or control?
Trust, I would say, because control is just a fear with process attached. You have fear. You have a process, you are structured conditions, so that brings control. But trust is, I think, trust, mainly trust.
That was fantastic. So I think one of the key messages coming from our conversations today is that, empowered is not simply about giving people more responsibility, it's about creating the environment, clarity, trust, and confidence that allow people to make meaningful ownerships. And ultimately,
Very
an
true.
empowered team doesn't mean a project manager becomes less important. It means a project manager's roles evolve from being the person who make every decision to being a person who create the confidence for greater decisions to happen. So
Very
before
true.
we close, Atik, what is the one message you would like to give to every project professional and PMP aspirant watching this conversation to take away from building empowered teams?
Uh, Empowered culture, isn't it a soft skill
Hmm.
uh, of on the project management that under PMBOK 8th edition? It's core uh, element to deliver project. It's a core element. So PMs who master it, the empowerment, it will lead teams that move faster and stay engaged longer. So empowerment is a leadership discipline. I mean, this is because I feel everything comes from the top.
Hmm.
If the leadership mindset, leadership, so it's a discipline from it's a leadership discipline, not personality trait. It is not specific to certain personality. It can be built deliberately, one decisions or handed over at a time. I mean, it's up to you. One by one, as I told you the small steps or overall empowerment depends how. Trust is very important. I mean, Shaila, when we work or when we have friends,
Hmm.
the only thing that prolongs, that keeps the friendship or the working relationship, I mean, for a long time, is the trust.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. If the trust is missing, everything is missing. So the management need to
Hmm.
trust the skill set of their people, those who are working, the employees, the team they are dealing with. So this is my final message. I feel trust.
Great. So thank you so much, Atik, for joining us and for sharing your insights. And thank you to everyone watching the PMBOK Guide 8 Insight series. I hope today's conversation has given you something practical to think about, not just for the PMP exam, but for the way you lead your teams every day. Because ultimately, great project leadership is not about having all the answers, it's about creating a team that is confident enough to find the answers together. And if you found this conversation valuable, please share it with your fellow project managers, professionals, aspirants, and leaders. Until next time, keep learning, keep leading, and keep building the empowered teams. Thank you for joining us. Bye and take care.
Thank you.